everyone, welcome back to the Colour Cave where we like to play with art stuff, and welcome to yet another day of Cavemas. Today we have a double whammy. I didn't want to exclude my usual unboxings from the celebrations, but I just feel it's just more like kind of normal video. It doesn't feel like a Cavemas video. So we're having a bumper video today and I'll be unboxing both the Scrawlrbox and the Upcrate. I'm also showing you, I was talking about Lindor sweets in another video. This is what a Lindor looks like, and this is a mint one, and they're my absolute favourite, and I've eaten far too many of these over the last few days. So let's turn our attentions to something a little bit healthier and a little bit more creative. We'll get to top down view and we can get going with these unboxings. Let's go. So first up we have Scrawlrbox, simply because it's the first one to arrive in the mail. My mail is super slow, and being in a rural area we tend to get everything last, you know, like days and days after everyone else. My Scrawlrbox has arrived. I am concerned it is damaged and it's actually like bent in half. Like it's not good. So I'm really hoping whatever is inside isn't damaged, but we're going to find out together. Oh no, wait, we seem to be intact. Scrawlrbox is the UK's only monthly art subscription box, so you pay a set amount every month and they send you a box of goodies. There's things that come in the box every month, just like other subscription boxes. And you usually get a sweet, a sticker, some sort of surface to draw on, and the Scrawler zine as well, which is like a little mini magazine. There's always a featured artist as well, and there's kind of like an interview in that too. So let's have a wee look. Here's our Scrawler zine, so I'm going to pop that off to the side because that'll spoil the contents for us and be like a surprise. Oh, featured artist. Oh, this is different. Now this looks, it could be ink or it could be water-based ink or some sort of paint. Oh, here we go, another name to butcher. I'm terribly sorry, Marta. Marta Betledge or Betley from Poland. Instagram and other social media are down in the bottom corner if you want to check out some of her work. So there's a little bit about her on the back of the featured artwork. Now, I did get an email from Scrawlrbox to say that the suite is missing from this month's box. So I'm really not doing too well with subscription boxes just now, because last month in my Scrawlrbox my sticker was missing. This month the suite's missing, and some of you that watched the Artful unboxing, there was actually an item missing out of that as well, but they shipped that out really quickly to me. Excellent customer service from them. Derwent watercolour paper. Oh, now that's interesting because this is a brand of watercolour paper I haven't tried. I've been through quite a few, especially this year actually, trying different types of paper, and this is one I haven't tried. So this is fun. Good. Right, let's see what it says here. Superior smooth surface. So I think it might be hot pressed paper. Perfect for pencils. Well, I don't really agree that smooth paper's perfect for pencils, but I suppose if it's watercolour pencils then okay. So that leads me to believe that we may have water-soluble pencils in here. 12 sheets, 300 GSM, which I mention all the time. It's like industry standard for decent watercolour paper. It is acid-free. Okay, let's pop this open, and yeah, I have to have a feel at it. I like to have a feel. I think, it's kind of hard to tell, but I think the texture is the same on both sides. I'm just trying to tilt it in this light so that I can see. I'm a huge fan of Derwent products. Normally I do use them quite a lot. I like their pencils. I use their eraser all the time. I love my Inktense and my graphite, so I would be quite interested to try out the Inktense pencils and the graphite pencils on this paper, seeing as, you know, they all come from the same Derwent family sort of thing. But that's quite interesting. Okay, let's move on. So here's our Scrawlrbox sticker, which I think this month actually matches normally the last few months it's been part of the Scrawler zine pattern, but I think this is actually part of the featured artist. I don't know why, but I have this little game where I like to try and figure out where it's come from. That's an eye. It's this eye? Yeah, it's this eye. Oh boy. Marabou art crayons, mixed media art crayons. So this is like soluble wax. Maybe a bit like Neo colours. I don't know, I haven't seen these before. It doesn't really say much on these. The only Marabou products I have tried, yes, it says watercolour crayon on it, so yeah. The only Marabou products I have tried were there was a set of markers. It was a long time ago, and they came in a palette full pack, and they were okay. Yeah, but I'm not really a fan of markers, so I wasn't, overly excited about that. We've got an HB pencil. Oh no, it's a 6B pencil. Oh, 6B. Oh, we're getting fancy now. Goldfaber pencils are quite nice pencils. I've got a couple of them kicking about. All the B ranges, because I like to do a lot of graphite drawings, I do a lot of dog portraits. A 6B is a pencil that I use all the time. I can never have too many of these. Because they're soft as well, they do wear down quite quickly. So, I tend to go through them more quickly than I would say an HB pencil or, something like that. So very happy to have this. I like the Goldfaber stuff as well, it's okay. And we've got a paintbrush too. And it's a Royal and Langnickel brush. Feels like a cheap brush, guys, and it's a number 6 round. I would say that looks quite small for a number 6. It's got a really nice point on it though, which is really good for detail, so I'll take that as a win. But the handle feels really cheap, and we know how I feel about cheap art supplies, but it's not really about the handle, it's about the bristles, so we'll leave that there. And a Derwent kneaded eraser. Again, something I use all the time, so happy with that. I'm just curious as to whether it's a blue one or a white one. Oh, it's neither. It's kind of grey. It's grey. Okay, I'm going to leave that in there because what happens in the cave is dog hair sticks to it. So I'm going to keep that nice and tucked in there just now. We will test it out though. Okay, so here is our list of supplies. This month we are bringing a splash of colour to the end of what turned out to be a strange and pretty miserable year. So the Marabou art crayons then, they are buttery smooth. Well, I'd hope so if they were wax-based. I'd be pretty disappointed if they weren't. Wax-based soft pastels and sturdy, fully loaded retractable holder. Oh, with an ergonomic grip and a clear protective cap. They're very versatile medium. They work well on raw or primed surfaces such as paper, canvas, fabric or wood. Vivid light fast pigment. Oh, so they're light fast. That's nice to know too. And they're water soluble. Yes, yes, yes. They're wipe resistant after 24 hours as well. How random, but okay. They are a highly forgiving art product that you can work with in tons of ways, working and reworking to your creative heart's content. Oh, my little Jack Russell's just come in. She's got a Christmas jumper on. Hi, Woo. Okay, Faber-Castell Goldfaber pencil. It's a high quality versatile graphite pencil with a super soft core, blah blah blah. A great addition to your art supply collection. Yep. Break resistant lead, and it uses the standard Faber-Castell bonding process. The kneadable eraser, soft and pliable, perfect for erasing as well as lifting out tone and colour. You can use it for graphite coloured and pastel pencils. Yep. The Royal and Langnickel tack-on brush, high quality instrument, suitable for all manner of water-based mediums and easily cleaned with soap and water. Okay, so tack-on, obviously it's synthetic bristles, you can tell by the colour of them, but it is designed for water-based mediums. The watercolour paper, developed especially for water-soluble pencils. Right, this doesn't make sense to me. If they're touting this as, it's made for pencils, why Scrawlrbox? Like, what, okay, you could have given us any paper, but if you're going to give us this paper, why would you not have water-soluble pencils in the box? Is it just me? Does that make sense? Am I being picky? Let me know in the comments, guys. I'm open to all criticism for that. Right, okay, so again, it says here, it's the first thing it says, developed especially for water-soluble pencils. Well, give us water-soluble pencils then. This smooth paper, this should have been in last month's box with the graphite pencils. Just my opinion. Smooth paper, perfect for water-soluble colour, inks and watercolour paints. Okay, yep. Smooth surface also provides an excellent base for the Marabou art crayons included in the box. Apply them direct and use the smooth sheets to blend colours together with your fingers. And then add some water and put this paper through its paces, experimenting with these supplies. I don't want to dip my fingers in the paint. Oh, here we go, Scrawler Challenge. Expressive expressions. Okay, that's quite an interesting prompt. I like this prompt. I don't like the supplies that we've got with the prompt. I'm really not. I'm not feeling the love of this box, guys. Normally, I'm really up for stuff like this. I am excited about this paper though, but just not with the supplies that we've got. But we're going to try it out anyway. That's the important part. So let's start with this pencil. Now, just to give you a bit of a reference, That was a bit of a dig about here. So here is an HB pencil, and this is just for comparison. So if I do this, so that's a standard HB pencil. Now if I take the one that's come in the box, which is a 6B, and do the same thing, you can see how much darker it is and how much softer it is. And I love this, and I love the fact that a little bit of the texture of the paper shows through, and you can get much darker darks than you can, and that's what these pencils are designed for. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. I just love this. This is, I get excited about this, and it's why I like to draw in graphite. It's like my favourite thing to do. Yeah, so you can go pretty dark. Even though this paper's smooth, it is taking the pencil okay. So that's quite good as well, because I always tend to favour slightly textured paper if I'm using pencil, because it just grips the graphite better, or the colour pencil. Right, let's test out this eraser. I love it when they're new. They can be quite stiff when they're new, and all you need to do is just heat it up in your hands for a little bit, and it will become more malleable, and you can mould it into whichever shape you want. And my hands are roasting, so this shouldn't take too long. What's the saying? Cold hands, warm heart. Says a lot about me, doesn't it? My hands are always warm though. So I never wear gloves, ever. Even when I go out running in like minus temperatures, I put gloves on to begin with just so I don't lose the ends of my fingers, but within like 3 minutes of being out on a run, I take them off because my hands are absolutely boiling. And first of all, like a normal eraser, if you're going to rub back and forth. Now, interesting, it's not taking off all of the graphite, but it's taking off quite a good chunk of it. I'm going to try on the HB just for... Yeah, it's not lifting all the graphite. So if we actually use a lifting technique, which is what you would do to lighten up an undersketch, and its lifting properties are fine, but as an actual eraser, I'm not that impressed. Because sometimes you do want to take off all the graphite. If you've made a boo-boo, you don't want it there at all. And this could leave it like quite a sort of murky looking undersketch. Yeah, it's not taking all of that off. Not that impressed. Again, most likely to be a combination of the eraser and this paper, not one or the other being a poor quality product. They just don't necessarily go well together. Right, let's get into these crayons. I'm usually not a fan of things like this. And do you know, I know what it is that puts me off, and it's completely unfounded, but it's how chunky they are. Like I like things with a little bit of like refinement, like pointy points. It kind of reminds me of the Faber-Castell gelatos. Just the way it, because I'm assuming that this twists up. Yeah, like a lipstick. I'm hoping that these colours are really pigmented. See if they're not, I'm gonna be sad. Oh my goodness! Wow, that's bright. Get your sunglasses on, guys. Whoa, that's almost offensive, it's that yellow. So for me, obviously, if you're going straight onto the paper, you're not going to get much precision because you've got this massive chunky what's it. The other thing as well is they are quite soft, so already I've taken a corner off that. If this was a medium you decided you liked, I would wager that you could get through one of these fairly quickly just on account of them being soft. The colours are lovely and vibrant though, look at that, jeez, oh, that's cheered me up a bit. I'm assuming as well that we have the option to mix these, and you could maybe just like scratch them onto a palette and lift it with a paintbrush the way you would with normal paint. So this is just a damp brush. Okay, so damp brush isn't doing much, which to be honest I didn't expect that it would. So let's use a bit more water. It's not really travelling across the paper. Considering this is smooth paper, I feel as if I'm having to work really hard with this paintbrush to do this. And it's not really getting rid of that initial scribble that I put down. You can very clearly see the outline, and I'm not really able to pull that out and soften that an awful lot, which is disappointing. But what it is doing is the brush is really holding on to the pigment there, and then I can then go elsewhere and do this, but it's very wishy-washy. Right, okay, next test then is to put lots of water down on the paper. Again, I want to see how much water this paper's going to take. Just using one of, there we go. I hope you can see that. That's like a blob of water. I'm just going to kind of not flood it, but really put that down there as if I was going to do like a wash. And then I'm going to wet my brush and I'm going to lift straight off the crayon itself. That's a little bit too much water, Gem. Like really get it in there so that I'm picking up lots and lots of pigment. Now that's it straight onto the paper, and it's very wishy-washy. Okay. And then let's just start plonking it in here and see what it does. So this is in the wet patch. I'm putting it in the wet patch. I suppose you can get some interesting effects with this. I'm not really, I was assuming that taking it straight off the crayon here would get some really vibrant colour, but it's really, really washed out. Now, for someone like me, I like really desaturated colour, so I find this quite nice. But considering you're going from this to this, it's a bit disappointing. And you would want to use the brush because you're not going to get that much precision because of the size of the tip of this. Now, you could chisel it, you know, you could use a knife and chisel it into a point. But if you're wanting to do any sort of precision with a nice vibrant line, you're going to have to use the crayon as best you can, and then like maybe add a little bit of water, but all that's going to do is dilute that out. Oh wow, that's so disappointing. Okay, let's try the other colours as well. Let's not count our chickens. Now with things like this, clearly, you know, I'm not the biggest fan of this. That's quite obvious already, but I do still try to be balanced and objective when I'm looking at these boxes. And I would like to think I've got reasonably good at that over the years. So let's try the other colours and just see what happens and see, oh, the magenta's worse. Look how washed, I mean, I'm like really dragging that pigment as much as I can. And there seems to be more of it in the brush, and the brush looks really bright, and it's just not doing anything on the paper. The only one that's really holding up is the yellow. And even at that, it's not exactly all that exciting. Oh, I'm a little bit disappointed with these. Look at this though, the colour's not really travelling. Again, I would wager though that the paper's got a fair bit to do about this. This is wax. If you have a slightly toothier paper, the paper is able to grip the wax as you're putting it down. I'm going to do an experiment. I'm going to go and get some cold pressed watercolour paper. Okay, so I've got some of these little Daler Rowney watercolour postcards, and that paper is really textured. I hope you can see that if I can kind of move it about. But anyway, it's pretty knobbly bobbly, and I'm just curious here to see if that does anything different. Like it's always the same. I really want to like these products, but so you can see clearly the texture of this paper there. And let's try. Aha! Now, I rest my case. Look at the difference between the diluted part and the non-diluted part. It is night and day. This paper, I would wager, because it's smooth, does not go well with these crayons. You use some cold pressed watercolour paper and you can go to town with this. Now, I'm going to switch brushes as well just to see how much of a difference the brush makes. This is a water brush, you know, like a brush pen. So it's got water in the reservoir. Yeah, like a million miles of a difference. It travels, it behaves more like a water soluble medium like you would expect. Right, okay. The brush is good though, the brush is working well with this. So I'm going to do the other colours on here as well just to show you, just to make sure it's not just the purple. Look at that, look, and the pigment's what I would hope it would be. You know, that was how I was hoping it was going to come out when I activated it with water, not like this. That is so nice. So we'll leave it to dry. We will leave it to dry and see what occurs. And we'll just do I'm excited about the yellow now. Like, this has excited me. This is good. You can see the difference between the areas where I have. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more because that's quite is quite subtle in places. As you can see there, the area where I've gone over with the paintbrush, you know, where I've actually put the crayon down versus here. It's so different. The crayons are much happier on this cold pressed paper than they are on this smooth paper, which I'm not surprised about, to be perfectly honest. Anyway, there you go. That's just a rough sort of going over. I've got to laugh at this. I've actually got a graphite pencil here, like just hanging about, and it is a Derwent one. It's the Midnight Black pencil, and I'm really curious to see what this does. It feels very unnatural for me to use pencil and smooth paper because in my brain that's not two things that necessarily connect. Now see, that's funny, that graphite pencil is much happier on this paper. Look, it's very mobile, it's moving about great, and I'm able to blend out the actual original pencil line to almost nothing. So there you go. Derwent products are designed to be happy with other Derwent products. These, I can't say I'm all that impressed with that. The fact that the crayon itself is much more mobile on cold pressed paper tells me that that would be a much better option for doing an artwork, and I don't know how much you would be able to do on this paper. Right, I'm going to head into the Scrawler zine now that we've kind of like decimated the supplies. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. Don't lie, Jem. Right, so let's see what we've got in our Scrawler zine. So it's talking about the supplies. We never got our sweet, as I mentioned before. Use your finger, blend and move the pigments with a little finger smudging. To be fair, we didn't do that. Blend and move the pigments. Maybe that's why we were given smooth paper. Maybe that's what we're supposed to be doing. I really don't want to dip my finger in this, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I'm not 5, do you know what I mean? Nah, it's not really moving about. Even with water on them, no. Look, that's just, no. No. Okay, next. A smooth, thick paper to easily blend your pigments and handle lots of water. Well, let's try layering stuff up. That's something that we didn't do. I put that over the top of there. And then squidge down some more water. Now, I'm interested to see if this purple underneath is going to lift. And it's just given me a really muddy yellow. That's basically all it's done, and you can still see the purple underneath where I'd put it down. Now you can get some quite nice effects with that, like some layered effects. As for blending, I don't really know what to tell you about that. I'm just not a fan of these. Okay, I'll leave that to dry and see what happens anyway. I sit down with our December featured artist, so you can read about her there in a little bit more detail from the back of the featured artwork. Scrawler tips, things to try. Marabou art crayons are extremely versatile. They can be used directly like oil pastels, smudged with your fingers. They blend easily and also water soluble. Okay, so being water soluble isn't like the primary feature of them, which this makes a little bit more sense now, but they are nice when they're watered down. If you need a more precise nib on your crayon, you can sharpen the pigment to a point by carefully shaving down the sides using a knife. Again, this just seems really wasteful to me. You could keep the shavings though and put them into a palette and, you know, wet it and use it that way. That's a good way to use up things like that. But be sure to keep the shavings. They can be used to make finger marks and smudges. They can be pressed into your paper directly to create intense pigmented texture, or you can combine them with watery to mix a watery paste. This can then be applied with a paintbrush, or you can use interesting materials to create stamp effects. You can also use the shavings of your crayons to mix an entirely new colour. Just add the shavings into a mixing palette and add water. This is just like too much hassle for me, and I think that's me just being really lazy, but I can't be bothered with all this. I have got a myriad of art supplies. I don't need a one supply can do half a job of several things. If you are tight on space, or if you don't want to keep a lot of art supplies, then I suppose you could use these for these things. The notes from the artist, and down here she's talking about watercolour, not relevant at all. Scrawler Gallery, yay! This is my favourite page, I love it. Oh, some of these are lovely. Oh, I really like these. It's nice. This one with the jellyfish is lovely. Oh, I know this person too. I know this person too. Congratulations for getting into the magazine. Good. Okay, moving on. I was talking about expressive history. Oh, and look, Scrawlrbox have done the same thing as Upcrate. They have a Scrawler star, so they are now they're now doing the same thing. It's like the Sailor of the Month. What's interesting here though, it says, every month we see so many wonderful artworks created by talented, dedicated scrollers, and this has not gone unnoticed. We'll be keeping an eye out for individuals who are always creating and experimenting with the supplies each month, demonstrating their passion and creativity. We'll then be awarding these individuals with the Scrawler Star status they deserve, as well providing a lifetime supply of Scrawler boxes to continue their artistic journey. Well, good God, there's something that you want for sure. Okay, so our first Scrawler star is Katie O'Neill, passionate creator with her love of the world, nature and marine wildlife shining through her artwork and stunning jewellery designs. And I love her koala, it's super cute. That's well deserved, Katie, your artwork is lovely. Absolutely lovely. Okay, I like this, and the fact that they're giving people a lifetime supply of Scrawler boxes, that's pretty sweet. That's pretty nice. Okay, so there we go. That is our scroller box for the month of December. I'm kind of like, I'm middle of the road with this. I'm kind of on the fence a little bit. I think it's more the fact that these type of supplies I just think that they're a bit pointless personally. Obviously you can still create lovely artwork with them, and I'm not denying that for a second. It's maybe just not my bag, but fun to try out anyway for sure. So perhaps into January we might try the scroller challenge. We'll see how we go, and we can take it from there. Alright, so it is the next day after the scroller box arrived, and I have in my possession the December Upcrate. So this is the monthly art subscription box from Germany. I've had a little bit of time to mull over what came in the scroller box, and something that kind of struck me was, obviously, I wasn't that enamoured with the contents of the box, which is fine, that happens sometimes. And I really get the feeling now that I've thought about it, that scroller box, it kind of reminds me of the older scroller boxes. I feel as if like they've taken a step backwards almost. And it's funny because there's been a few years where the December box has felt a bit kind of half-hearted, and I don't think that's intentional. It might just be that those particular supplies have fallen in that month, and I'm not particularly excited about them. But I just thought that was an interesting point to make. Anyway, let's just see what Upcrate's going to give us. I like the fact that on their pull tab here it says cast off, loosen the lines. They're really keeping with the pirate theme, and I like it a lot. So we'll move this out of the way. I'm assuming underneath will be the surface media and the battle post. Yep, so here's our battle post, which is our magazine. Later we will have a look at that. What we want to do first is look and see what's underneath. So we have got our featured artist. Oh, this is lovely. Stay wild. I agree. This is very aesthetically pleasing, I like it a lot, and it looks like it might be some sort of watercolour, and there's fine liner involved here as well. So the co-captain, Vimo Design, watercolour artist made in Siberia, based in Cologne, and some of their artwork here as well. And these are really nice. I'm not really into portraiture and character design, it's not really my thing, but this one in here in the middle, see this simple design, this really speaks to me, I really like that. So their Instagram is also available there if you want to check out more of their artwork, but I like this, and I'm hoping that it's going to be watercolour stuff. We've got our stickers, we've got a little smiley face, and the Upcrate logo as designed by the featured artist, and I love these as well because they're always so creative. So creative. And we've got other people's stickers as well. It tells you underneath who's actually designed them, which is really nice. I like this as well. It says here, Happy Better New Year. Yeah, 2021. Well, I don't think it can get any worse than it's been this year, but stranger things have happened. Okay, oh, we've got a big pad of watercolour paper. Art Space Fine Arts watercolour pad. So watercolour techniques in mixed media. A5 size, 15 sheets, 300 GSM, so again, really nice heavyweight paper. Age resistant, acid free, glue bound, cold press, so it's going to have a little bit of texture to it. And you also get 2 sheets of tracing paper and 2 sheets of watercolour mixing palettes. So they're like sheets of paper that you can place over your palette to mix your colours on, and then you can just get rid of that and you don't have to clean up your palette. So that's quite cool as well. My craft knife is missing from the cave because everyone's been using it to open Christmas presents. So I'll just have to dig away at this. There we go. Special offer as well. So Upcrate have teamed up with Art Space for 15% off everything in the shop. Not for subscriptions and gift. I'm assuming that's gift vouchers. And tells you how to do it down there as well. So that's quite a nice little bonus. So yeah, we've got a couple of sheets here. So I'm assuming that this is the tracing paper on top. Yeah. So that's just normal tracing paper. It feels like quite good quality. It's quite thick. And these are the watercolour sheet. And you can see it's shiny. And that's obviously so you can mix your paint on it and it just wipes off. Now here's the actual paper. It's got kind of like a hatched pattern to it. I like this off-white colour as well, I find that quite appealing. And the cold pressedness of it, it doesn't feel too bobbly, too textured, and it's quite smooth on the back as well. So it'd be interesting to see what happens if we were to watercolour on the other side. Right, let's take a look at the supplies. Have fun, mate. We will. Spectrum Noir Tricolour markers. 9 water-based colours, which means we're getting 3 markers. Great outdoors colour scheme, so we can see we've got some greens there and these kind of floral colours. And we have had these before in, I think it must have been a Scrawlrbox, because those were the ones I did the Imaginarium with originally. I'm really disappointed. I thought we were getting watercolours. Now these are the Tricolor Aqua, so these must be water soluble. Again, not something I'm really all that excited about, to be honest. So these are, it's basically 3 pens in the same colour scheme, so you get a light, a mid and a dark tone, and obviously they go together. So we've got a purple set, which is called Rich Floral, Cool Marine, Lake Blue, Teal and Aquamarine, and this one is Botanic Natural. So we've got Lime, Sage and Moss. How very interesting. There's other things in here. Let's see. Drawing gum, PBO drawing gum, high precision masking markers. This is like a masking fluid which we can use to cover up bits we don't want the colour to go onto. I think the thing they're going to want us to do with these is scribble these onto a palette and then maybe dilute them with water and use them with a brush, as well as obviously being able to use them as straight markers. But we can play about with that in a little bit. A Pentel, but is this a ballpoint pen? Oh no, it's a retractable pencil. It's a mechanical pencil. So this is the Pentel AL405. It does have an eraser on the end, which is always handy. And it's quite sturdy, and it's got one of these little rubber ergonomic grips on it as well, which some people really like. I'm not that fussed on them personally. You would think as well, having a dodgy hand, that's something I would appreciate, but I just don't seem to get on well with them for some reason. Okay, 0.5mm lead, assuming it's HB. I will stand corrected if we find out otherwise. And a Faber-Castell Eco Pigment fine liner. I have one of these already, and they're surprisingly okay. They've got quite a funny kind of barrel shape, because they've got this the kind of ridged bit in the middle, which is supposed to be good for grip. And it's teeny tiny, it's a 0.1. That makes me so happy. I love teeny tiny fine liners. Let's go. Right, I'm going to skip the tracing paper and everything just now. I just want to put some pens down on paper. I'm going to grab a water brush as well. Let's see what it says on the back of this actually. Enjoy portable watercolour effects. I'm sorry, these are not portable. I don't care if there's 3 colours in here. That is not portable, because that is a beast of a marker. Portable watercolour effects with these brush-tipped Tricolor Aqua markers. They do have brush tips on them. Each holds 3 water-soluble colours that will mix and blend out effortlessly, perfect for sketching and colouring on the go. Let's try the pencil first. Yeah, I would say that's HB. Obviously, we're on very textured paper here, so it's probably not the best surface for trying it out on, but the lead seems quite sturdy. I can press down and it's not disappearing or crumbling or anything. Very consistent, quite smooth, and it feels quite nice to hold. So as far as a mechanical pencil goes, I'd say that's okay. I do find it a little bit chunky, but I think it's just because I'm probably used to skinnier ones if I'm using a mechanical pencil. We've got this little fine liner, which really is a little fine liner. And these are nice, I like these fine liners. Again, coping quite well on this paper considering it's quite textured. Quite a consistent line width as well, good ink flow. So yeah, quite happy with that. Right, let's try these markers out. Let's crack open this masking fluid pen. Let's see what the deal is with this. Oh, it's got, what's this? Is this like a precision tip? Yeah, it's like an extra nib or a precision nib. Ha! 0.7. Okay, French, no, English, there we go. For precise masking work in watercolour, ink and diluted gouache, easily removed by rubbing it after a maximum of 1 week. Wow, 1 week you can leave it on for. Rinse the wick with warm water after use and store horizontally. Okay, I'm assuming we should shake this, yeah. Oh, it's got a nib in it as well. So is that a spare nib? Yes, it's a spare nib. And it's coloured as well, that's really handy. It's like a really pale blue colour. It reminds me of the Schminke masking pen. Oh, it doesn't like being on the paper so much here though. It seems really pale, and I don't know whether it's actually laying down all that well. See, that looks more like the way it should look, if that makes sense. Yeah, okay, right, we'll try it anyway. So let's have a look at these pen colours. I'll just let that dry for a little minute. So I've got the Botanic Natural set here. And if I just pull them apart here so that you can see what they look like. So you've got one double-ended one and one that's kind of like on its own there, and it's just so that they all fit together. I remember talking about these before and I was wondering if they're refillable, and I know that the regular tricolour ones are. Again, I'm hoping we'll find out in the battle post that these ones are also refillable, because obviously the size of the reservoir in there is not very big. So if these are like disposable, that's pretty wasteful for the amount of plastic and things that's there, but I'm pretty sure these will be refillable. Now I have to say the brush nib is lovely. I really like that. I want to see how quickly this dries. We'll test out the other colours where we're going. Oh, that's a nice colour. Oh yes. I'm I'm all about the greens. I am all about the greens. Still wet. Okay, let's move on to the other ones. I always find things like this really fiddly. It's the same with the chameleon markers as well. It's a nice concept, but when you're actually doing a piece, it's just a lot of faffing about. And I'm kind of impatient with stuff like that, and that's just a feeling of mine as a person. It's not a reflection of the product, but I just find there's a lot of messing about. Oh, I like these colours too. This is nice. Ooh. So we've got really vibrant pigmented colour in their raw form, which is rather good. Okay, that first set is dry now, so that's literally how long it's taken. And we've got the kind of purpley set here. Oh, that's nice as well. It's not a little bit pink, it's really pink. I love these magenta. I'm right into like these magenta fuchsia type colours just now as well. No idea why. So now that this one's dry, I want to try squishing it about with a water brush. Just to see if that's going to move. Oh yes, we're off. It's dissolving out really well. And it's going out to quite a delicate shade as well, so that's nice. As far as water-soluble pencils go, markers go, we're on to a winner so far. Okay, so with the darker colours, it's more difficult to dissolve those initial lines. Let's see what happens when we do this. We can blend them together quite nicely as well. Lovely. Ooh. Okay, I'm liking these a bit more than I thought initially. Oh. Yeah, the darker the colour is, the more stubborn it is. It doesn't want to move. Now, obviously, these are dry, so that's not going to be helping the situation. It's good to test these things out. See, I should have swapped these round so that I had the mid and the light tone, then the dark tone, but never mind. Yeah, that's dissolving out fairly well, actually. Okay. And obviously, if you keep going with these, then you can get some really nice delicate shades, but you would do that elsewhere. Obviously, you wouldn't do it on your artwork. I'm actually quite impressed with these. I like the colour situation. I don't like the format, and you know, in the marker format, but the brush nibs are really, really nice. I'm appreciative of a good brush nib on a marker. But yeah, these colours are lovely. So yeah, I would mix these out on a ceramic or a plastic palette, probably ceramic. I prefer ceramic for stuff like this. And then you could mix them beforehand if that's what you wanted, and then put them onto the paper. Oh, the pink's a bit stubborn. Come on, pink. Oh, the pink is really stubborn. Wow, that's interesting. Pink doesn't want to move about on the paper so much. What about the magenta fuchsia type colour? Oh yeah, see, that's going no problem. Wow. And even when they're watered down, these colours are so bright. Not bad, is it? Some seem to want to dissolve on the paper more than others. As I say, I think I would prefer to work these onto a palette first, which is, again, obviously in this you're provided with these disposable palettes. So that is the intention with them. But you can still clearly move them about on the paper. I want to see what happens when we layer them up as well. Oh, this is brave. Now get it while it's still wet. Right, okay, so much more mobile when it's wet. But I was wanting to see how much it was going to reactivate the paint underneath, and it is. So you'll be able to lift the colour then, and you can see it's giving me this weird sort of, I don't know what kind of colour you want to call that. It's almost into like a really pale brown, or mauve maybe? Is that mauve? And it's got a nice transparency to it as well, very similar to watercolour, so you can get quite creative with that as well. Okay, I'm quite impressed. Let's see what's going on here. I'm not very confident about this masking fluid situation. So you can see where my masking fluid was. Now let's see what it said on the pen again. Easily removed by rubbing it after a maximum of 1 week. Okay. Okay, yeah. So I can feel it coming off under my finger. And if you look quite closely, you can see there where I've rubbed it off, it's releasing the paper, so it is coming off because that's a lot lighter than that. I'm impressed because that is like super fine, like that is super precision, and that is something that can be really difficult to get with masking products. But I'm impressed with that. I would use that quite a lot, especially as someone that likes to work with lots of fine detail. That gives me so many options for watercolour. I like this. And the fact that you get a spare nib as well, I'm right into that. Okay, I'm actually a lot more enthusiastic about this than I thought it would be, and I think it's because these are water soluble. Most of you will know by now, every time I get markers I'm like, oh, but these are actually really good. It's just a shame they're in this big clumsy chunky format, and not being a marker person, that doesn't really appeal to me, but what's going on in the paper is the beans, so this is actually really, really good. So let's move on to the battle post now and see if we can learn anything else, and we'll have a little flick through. As always, there's the little bit at the start. It's in English and in German as well, so you can pick your language. And it says thank you in lots of languages down the bottom. So let's say we've got English, German, Italian, Spanish, French. Okay, so here's a bit about the Spectrum Noir markers. Even if you're an experienced colourist or a beginner, you'll surely enjoy the space-saving convenience of having 3 colours in one pen. I don't agree with that, but yeah, okay. They've got a 20% off voucher for the tricolour markers, so if you want to expand your selection, you can do that. Here we go, the Pentel pencil. Okay, you can completely push the lead back up into the pencil so that it's not going to snap if it's rattling about your pencil case. And they do come in a range of hardness grades. It doesn't tell you what grade of lead is in the pencil. I'm assuming it's HB. See, I'll make the assumption it was HB. It's kind of hard to tell on that paper, but that's what it felt like. Okay, the Faber-Castell Eco Pigment. I really like this little fine liner. Highly pigmented, it's light fast ink as well. It's waterproof and doesn't bleed through absorbent paper. It can be corrected on transparent paper with an ink eraser. Well, that's good to know too. Ergonomic shape. And the barrel and cap of the marker are made from recycled plastic. Well, that's good to know too. Okay, Art Space. Here is the watercolour paper we were talking about. Ideal for all watercolour and mixed media applications. Like the deck of a ship, the 300 GSM thick paper does not buckle if you work with multiple layers or wet and wet techniques. The cold pressed paper has a rough and a smooth side, which offer the best surface for your art depending on your preference. So we can paint on both sides. That was my query at the start. That's excellent to know, especially if you're not a fan of textured paper. You can easily transfer the proportions of photos of your own drawing onto the watercolour paper, and the glossy mixed paper accompanies you as a practical colour palette. So you've basically got a little kit here that you can take away with you. The PBO drawing gum, which I am in love with. I am actually in love with this. It's a masking liquid that can be used to cover parts of your paper. Let the gummy liquid dry for 10 to 15 minutes. Not even, see if you're doing really thin stuff like that, that was a couple of minutes. That wasn't even as long as that. After your colours have dried, you can gently rub off the drawing gum. The pen simplifies use enormously. Make sure that you store it horizontally and always close it tightly. Once opened, you can use it for about a year before the solution hardens. That's really good to know as well, because I find that masking fluid, just because of the nature and viscosity of it, it definitely has a shelf life. And I think I've got a pot sitting there that could probably do with getting thrown out. It's probably like a solid lump by now. I might investigate that at some point. What a year. Get it? Yeah. Bye Corona. Next year will be great. So we're being as optimistic as possible. This is just a nice collage in the middle, and there's lots of different pictures of all the different artworks and featured artists. This collage, this is lovely. I really like this. That's so nice. All the different sticker packs and everything we've had as well. It looks like a lot when you see it there, doesn't it? Wow. I love stuff like that. I'm such a 12 months full of art. It was a pleasure working with all the amazing co-captains all around the world. Art connecting people even in these unusual times. Stay safe, art crew. So this is all the featured artists and oh, this is lovely as well. I really like this. There's been so many good artworks. I love this one. I love this one. So nice. So nice. Really enjoyed that. I love I don't know why I enjoy looking at these on paper so much. I'm such a weirdo. Okay, so there's a bit about the co-captain here, and there are, a little bit about them as well, but also tips on how to use the supplies, and there's also the link to the video that shows you them in actual use, which is really cool too. The golden crate, we've talked about this before, so this is like a sort of special bonus thing they've got going on. One special art crew member receives this special crate with the golden inside. Make sure to write us an email with a picture of the crate to win a £50 voucher for the shop, €50 voucher for the shop, sorry. I think this is a lovely idea. Really, really nice. Except it kind of reminds me of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the golden ticket. And we go on to the Sailor of the Month, and clearly they've picked a miscreant. I thought that Upcrate might have upped their game a little bit. They seem to have picked somebody ridiculous for it this month, and it is the Colour Cave. So yeah, I was really, really pleased that Upcrate had contacted me and asked me, they were starting this new feature called Sailor of the Month, and they asked me if I'd like to be part of it, and I was absolutely delighted to be a Sailor of the Month. So there is obviously a little bit about me, which most of you people will know already, and just some photographs of the art that I've produced. This first photograph here of me, the dog that is in this picture is Mist, and she was my original sheepdog and the reason that I started drawing anyway. I don't have a lot of good photos of her because she would never sit still, But she was my best friend, she was my work colleague, she was my working dog, and I still miss her very much, so I thought she deserved to be in the photographs here. And obviously some of my pencil drawings as well, because that's what I like to do most. So yes, it's really weird sitting talking about yourself, but yes, I am the Sailor of the Month, and absolutely privileged and honoured to be featured in the Upcrate magazine. Moving swiftly on. Okay, there's the quiz at the back as well, just for a little bit of fun, and the answers for the previous months as well. So all that remains on the back page here is the Upcrate battle subject, and it is crystal clear. Once again, if we go back to the featured artist's artwork, that makes perfect sense, and you can see why that is fitting quite nicely together. Okay, so there you go. For an initial disappointment on the supplies front, I'm actually not disappointed at all. I'm quite excited about these for the colours and also a bit of versatility, so that'll be really good fun to play about with for the Upcrate battle. These fine liners are great, I love them. The paper's quite nice as well, but now I know we've got the option for the two sides, that's even better. The mechanical pencil, take it or leave it. I'm kind of like, yeah, about that. But my favourite thing in this box by far is this PBO drawing gum. This is excellent. And I've never found a masking fluid that would really make me want to use masking fluid. I'd rather just do something in a different way to avoid having to use it. But this is a bit of a game changer for me. So I'm really excited about that, and I'm so chuffed you get an extra nib as well. Okay guys, so that is it. That is our bumper unboxing for the month of December, and also for Cavemas, and that is the last two boxes of the year. I am really interested to see where both Upcrate and Scrawlrbox go over the next year, because both of these boxes I feel as if they've really evolved this year. There's been some changes, there's been some growing up done. So I think it's going to be quite exciting for next year to see what steps they're going to take next. And I've had a ball this year doing all these boxes. I actually really enjoy unboxing these, and I really enjoy the art prompts as well, because I find it pushes me to do things that I wouldn't normally try, but also to try things I might not like. And that teaches you a lot about yourself in terms of your art. So I am really grateful to be able to buy these and unbox them here on the channel. And I hope that you guys have either learned something or just picked up anything from these videos, because I will be continuing to do these over the next year. So that is it for today. I want to thank you very much for watching and joining me for another day of Cavemas, and I'll see you back in the cave tomorrow for another video. So have a good evening, a good day, good afternoon. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now, guys.